Hello, denizens of the Sunlight Realm. Solotl here, back again with another
It's Spooky Month! Okay, this isn't the spooky episode, but it's Spooky
It is
Month!
Spooky Month. It is Halloween right now.
Right now, as we speak, the pumpkins are marching in.
With faces and...
They have beautiful, beautiful faces. Look at those cheeks.
There will, if I can get my stuff together, there will be another episode later
Closer to the day of the spookening.
where things are scary. For real.
But right now, we're having flashbacks to our old art.
Our old art that we definitely...
Still feel good about.
Yeah.
Our old art that we definitely don't hate to look at.
We have decided to revisit some of our old art and do so in a way that's a little bit different from what might be expected.
We're not drawing our own old art, we're drawing each other's old art, so we don't have to look at it.
Yeah!
So we don't have to look at our old art and go, why did you do this?
and then feel sad when you don't make something
better. Yeah. When you can't show 12-year-old you that you're an artist now.
Yeah. So we drew each other's old OCs. And I'll show my speed paint first, but to start off, here's the picture that I was supplied by the lovely Beans.
Oh god. I drew that with a mouse, like...
With a mouse?!
Yeah.
I didn't... That's actually pretty good for just a mouse.
It was on... No, it wasn't... Yeah, it was on my old Mac.
Uh-huh.
So it was, like, crappy, blurry as heck. I had a time with this drawing. That took me a week.
Oh, man. And how old were you?
18.
18? Okay.
Not as long ago as I would have hoped.
Not 12.
Not 12. Ugh.
But yeah, I thought this OC actually looked pretty cool, and you told me a little bit about the OC's backstory, and I kind of tried to integrate that into the drawing that I made, but I guess we can get into it, and while I'm sketching, you can tell me a bit about, tell the audience a bit, like, what you told me.
So, okay, this is one of my characters I made for a short-lived D&D campaign. His name is Swallowtail, and he is an elf-fae hybrid. The campaign was sort of based around the idea that there was this cult of people trying to obtain godlike powers, and in doing so, they would experiment on different creatures, humans, elves, anyone, to try and essentially find out, like, okay, what is the best way to gain powers. And Swallowtail is one of their experiments that they worked on. And he was originally a wood elf, and they used, like, fairy dragon essence, as well as, like, fae wings to try and give him essentially, like, the power of, like, a dragon or some sort of fae god. That was the idea behind it, and it didn't turn out as expected. He has wings, yes, which he didn't have before. But he also has this incredibly wild and uncontrollable magic that allows him, well, not allows him, but forces him to shift through dimensions with, like, reckless abandon, essentially. Like, he tries to walk across the room, and then he's somehow in the hell dimension. Like, oh shit, I just wanted to get to the fridge.
You also mentioned, he was magically silenced with that collar he's wearing?
Yes, the collar is, that you see sketched right in there, is that...
Yeah, I remember that, because I kind of cover it up.
Cover it up. Cover your shame. Not only does this collar sort of just kind of like keep him in this realm so he doesn't like go five different places at once, but it keeps him from speaking because another side effect of this experiment is that he has a banshee like scream that can like shatter glass and essentially melt people's brains. And of course these sciencey people are just like, "Hey, we don't want that. We're trying to figure out how how to live longer, not how to die real quick. So I'm gonna shut you up right now."
Yeah. Um that part really stuck with me, and that's kind of where I went with the art itself. I wanted to show that like this thing was binding him in a way that sealed off his voice. Um and I actually tried something a little bit different with the colors this time. Like the sketching process so far has been about what I usually do, but at this point, I kind of went off the rails. I didn't ink really. Um, I just started blocking out the colors, and um,
I'm liking these shapes.
yeah, thank you. Um, I I went for like a semi lineless. I did still draw in. I don't really know how to describe what I'm doing. I want to be able to draw like this because I always think it looks cool when other people do. Um, where it's this that semi lineless, semi. I don't know. There's lines there, but they're kind of drawn in after the coloring and shading happen. Um,
Yeah, kind of like an afterthought. I know what you're talking
yeah,
about, where it's like just at the edges or like the point where there's an overlap.
yeah, yeah, and have like slightly more realistic shading on it. I don't know what to call that style, but it ended up being a lot of layers that I merged back together and painted over a few different times.
I can see your layers slowly accumulating.
Yeah, when I was first blocking out the colors, I made every bit on its own layer so I could keep them separate from each other. So I didn't mash them all together. Um, and so like the arms are each on their own layer. The neck is on its own layer. The face is on its own layer. The hair and the all the different clothing layers are on their own. Um, uh, and here's where I start trying to like get it get some of the line work in, and some of the this is a very new style. I don't I've tried to work in it before, but I've always like given up halfway through, and to be honest, I almost gave up several points within this.
Yeah, I know you said that you're having like a lot of trouble with earpiece. And I can see why. Like those are very clean lines and like to work with that, I've only like done some painting digitally and it's all been with line work.
Yeah, and I um the main thing that was bothering me at this point was the colors, because I felt like I was really struggling to get a unit like a color palette that was accurate but also kind of unified, and I didn't know how to shade it.
Yeah.
Um
That
and I was kind of
that color palette was a little whack now that I look back at it. Just like all the values are all over the place and I'm like, what were you thinking?
yeah, it, blue and orange is a really good combination. Um but it was a very vibrant blue, at least the one that I ended up choosing to go with. Um, and I also wasn't sure, I didn't plan out the lighting situation going in, and I probably should have. Um,
The old game of where's the light source? If it's not shown, you don't know.
yeah,
Don't
yeah, I ended
question
up
it.
going with a sort of like general overhead light, um, with a bit of a bounce from underneath to help kind of bring back in that. And coloring and shading skin is always really complicated because
It really is.
skin is
Like, just even
flesh.
looking at my hand, I'm like, I see blue, I see yellow, I see red. This is a catastrophe.
Yeah, and how do you bring those colors out without turning it into a rainbow mess?
Without making it look like a zombie.
And how do you not turn it into a rainbow mess
Yeah.
without turning it into a zombie? Yeah. And I did actually want to go with a kind of um more pale and dead looking skin because he's been experimented on and tortured and
Yeah.
is very not okay. Um I also, this is step one of my unifying the color palette. I did a saturation
Yeah.
layer, I guess it was, over the whole thing to kind of like
I like it.
deaden the colors.
I love that
Um,
gray feeling to it.
I yeah, I did too. And my initial plan for the X was to cover up the mouth and make it more like showing that this is a silencing and he's not just like screaming. Um and
And also, then you don't have to worry about the mouth.
that is absolutely part of why I did it. um but I do actually think it helps convey what it is that I was trying to go for with it.
Mhm.
Um
It also is that color pop of the red against everything that's sort of like that faded gray color. It's very good.
I ended up changing the color of the X after I got some feedback on it. It was more distracting than helpful at a certain point. And I actually um I was a little bit torn on that, but I think going with it does end up looking better without the red. Um because add some effects later on that make the rest of
Ooh.
it more it words. I bring the color back in a sort of different way. So the red ended up clashing with that. Um,
I get you. Color palettes are hard, and anybody who can just throw a color palette together like real fast, like I envy you so much.
big same, big same. Um, and
Time for the wings. I'm so sorry I gave you a symmetrical design. Like that's on me.
don't worry about it because and I knew this going into drawing this. I was gonna crop it really close, and that's what I ended up doing. Um, um, I actually really liked how I did the pattern on the shirt here. Um, Mainly because of how easy it was. I had a few brushes that I used to get kind of uh the original design looked like it had almost pinstripes or like thick, but I don't know. So I brought those back in. Um, and then the collar design was just a quick brush line, and it worked. I think it helps separate the fold of the collar from the shirt underneath. Here's the first cropping that I do. So most of the wings don't actually get aren't in there hardly at all. Um,
There you go. Cut off your wings. We don't need to see them. That's completely valid. I painted those entire wings because I was a fool. I like this sepia filter you got.
Thank you. Yeah. That was here. I was trying to figure out how to do the lines.
Effect lines are so good, but like they're so hard to use.
Yeah, yeah. And that first jump, I ended up doing a bit more like value saturation tweaks.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Without the recording, it was only like 5 or so minutes. And then I was sitting on that for a while, and finally got some feedback And one of those feedbacks was like, hey, this hand is kind of fucked up. So we went in and fixed that.
Sir, your hand is whack.
uh,
God,
and
I also had lots of hand shenanigans, so you weren't alone.
um, and then I like polishing up the eyes a little bit because those ended up getting a little bit uh
I love what you decided to do with the iris.
oh
How it just is like very blurred like that.
yeah, I I can't remember what I've seen that draws the eyes like that when it's like super mega stressed out, but I really like it. And
Yeah, I feel like I've seen it in like a couple animes before.
yeah, yeah, it's definitely somewhere around there. And
This is where you adjust the colors again.
yeah, so everything got merged together because and I was drawing over the top of the PNG.
Oh god.
So I had to paint out the red X.
Oh my god, yeah, I see that one layer. Holy shit.
Yeah. I don't regret it because it helped me not get too precious with anything. And here's the color that I ended up going with for the X. And then I wanted to add another effect,
Fractals.
which is broken glass.
Yes.
Um
Solotl. I love it.
I don't know why. I think it was partly because like the banshee scream, partly because it's like this poor wood elf's like sanity has been shattered. I don't know.
Oh my god.
But I had to figure out how to do the broken glass effect.
Broken glass is very difficult.
And yeah.
In every sense of the word. I've worked with broken glass.
I've literally never done this before in any way, so it was kind of trial and error.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, how do I make it not look like a spider web? Make it more clear that it's like this. So I add some overlay. I tweak with what colors they are. I actually erased out a few of the panes because
yes.
to highlight the face itself better. I screw around with
this is so sexy.
like, do I want to use overlay? Do I want to use some like other crazy layers? And it's basically this until the end, and then I crop it again. I actually don't think the video shows me cropping it, but when I send it to you, it will be cropped again. Just a little bit closer.
God, that glass is so sexy of you.
Thank you.
Yes, my boy. I love this.
Thank you. I am glad I followed through on it, I guess, because there were so many points in there where I was like, maybe I should just ink it properly and color it like I usually do.
Yeah, there definitely is something to be said for pushing through to finish a drawing when you feel like you should just start over. Like,
yeah,
it sucks in the moment, but once you finish it, you feel very accomplished and you end up learning more about like your art style and like how to do things. Now it's my turn.
Here's the character that I gave you. I drew this in 2009, and it was clearly there's a stock background.
Yeah, I love the boat stock photo background. It's so good. I just kept like anytime I was drawing, I just kept staring at it and like it made me happy.
I'm glad. This was one of the first times that I actually drew something lineless ever. Not to age myself, but I was 16.
Fair. This feels like a 16-year-old drawing. I get you. Do you want to introduce your character?
Yes. My character is Sahara. She's a character I came up with probably honestly before I was 10. It was very early when I couldn't when I needed an excuse to not draw the second eye. So normally her hair covers her eyes, or one of her eyes. She was an orphan who stumbled upon a magical artifact that had trapped the soul of a dragon inside of it. And she made a deal with that dragon for power and uh just being able to do stuff. I don't know. She was also blind, which is why one of her eyes is all milky. Oh, that looks fucking cool.
Thank you.
Oh,
In the description you gave me, you described her as like constantly getting into fights
yes,
and
yeah,
being incredibly fragile. So I wanted to do a drawing of her like she had just gotten into a fight and she lost.
yeah.
But like she picked up a pipe and she's just like, well, now I'm gonna smack you in the back of the head with this.
Yeah. So the basic premise behind her character is that the power that she gets from this dragon comes at a really heavy cost, and that cost is shortened lifespan, and she loses herself as the older she gets, the more she gets damaged, the more of herself grows back as the dragon. Um, and she doesn't take very good care of herself because she doesn't
Yeah.
care. She's just like, yeah, let's fight. That's fun.
Yeah, I had that vibe, which is why right here, with her arm, I drew her arm dislocated, but like she doesn't care.
Oh,
She's still gonna go right back in. Like that's why it's hanging all limply at her side, as well as why the shoulder looks like that.
that's so good.
You could see that I'm having so much trouble with this hand.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love this.
I liked the idea of like her getting into a fight and losing, and as they're like walking off, she sort of like shuffles up and grabs something laying on the ground and just
Yeah.
whams them in the back of the head.
Oh, I love that.
Um
Honestly, yeah.
it felt right.
And I love what you've done to update the outfit. Like,
Thank you. You might see it flashing here and there, but I do have a picture of Kim Possible up.
I did see that in the in the preview at the start.
Yeah,
Um,
I had Kim Possible vibes from it. But yeah, you also see me here finally grabbing a reference.
you're calling 16-year-old me out so hard.
It had such Kim Possible vibes. Like, if you told me you weren't inspired by Kim Possible, I would call you a liar.
Yeah,
Like,
you're absolutely right.
especially with those pants and the way it flared out at the top, I'm like, oh, this is Kim Possible.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I had so much trouble with that hand, I just had to pull the reference up.
Hey, you did good though.
Thank you.
The boots.
Boots.
Yes.
I also had trouble with the boots as well.
Yeah. I don't know if you'll notice, but the ones in the original drawing were like little brown half domes, and that was it.
Yeah, I noticed. That's why I left so much time to like figure out the boots. Something else though that I had a lot of trouble with for this drawing was inking. So you see me going in for my first time inking. Like I was just like, I don't like this brush. I'll try it. Maybe futz with it, see if I like it. And then I decided, I don't know, maybe if I try redrawing some of these lines, maybe it'll look better. Nope, never mind. And you see me like wham jangle through some lines real fast, but in reality, that was me cutting out an hour where I
Oh.
decided to download a bunch of new brushes and then proceed to organize the brushes one by one through all of my brush settings on the side. I spent an hour just
Oh
saying
my
like,
gosh.
oh, like downloading, like I think I downloaded almost 50 new brushes
Uh-huh.
and then
Did you find one you liked?
I ended up not using a brush I downloaded and just the G pen.
Oh my gosh. uh,
Um, but I did actually end up lining in a completely different way. Like when I sketched out the hair in
Uh-huh.
that sort of just like vague shape, I really liked it. And I was just like, okay, well, now I have to draw the hair like this because if I try to draw it any other way, I'm gonna hate it and I'm gonna redraw the hair.
I do like the hair is definitely one of my favorite parts already. And like
Thank you. I had a lot of fun with the hair, as well as like um one thing that I thought would make past you very happy is uh anatomy that actually makes sense.
yeah. Yeah.
So just looking at your drawing, I'm like, oh, I know what was going on here.
Yeah.
I'll do this for you, Pastelotl.
I I really appreciate that you dislocated her arm but did it on purpose.
Yeah. Yeah. Like looking at
Like
your drawing, I was just like, these shoulders are just a little off. I'm gonna
uh-huh.
homage to these fucked up shoulders and make it
I'm
fucked up
so glad.
right.
That's so good. Oh my god.
It it certainly was something. But yeah, you see me throwing it on the lines here, and
Yeah.
that hour of like just going through all of the brushes made me realize like so many more things that Clip Studio Paint had that I hadn't realized before. So you
Oh,
get to
that's
see me
good.
play with tone brushes.
Yes.
And
That's so
I
cool.
decided to like do it on all of the clothes as
Uh-huh.
well as just the pipe cuz like the way that you had done the
This
shadows in your old
texture.
drawing, it made me think of tone brushes
Uh-huh.
like you'd see in a manga, kind of like that black and white thing. So I
Yeah.
thought that would be cool if I added sort of that same feeling to this drawing.
Yeah.
And
Oh, this is so good.
I fixed your colors
Yeah.
because in that
Uh-huh.
original drawing they were
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
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 So I made them slightly more desaturated so it looks like actual clothes and not
Mhm.
like that is a JPEG you're wearing on your skin.
Yeah. Oh.
I also fixed the hair color. I don't know if you know, but in your original drawing, the hair
It
color is
was
actually
yellow.
green. It was
It was
green.
green.
And I was just like, that's not a natural hair color. Um,
Yo.
so yeah, you see me playing with the fire right then, but I do keep that and end up putting fire in the background. And I actually put a light source in this one. I wanted it to
Uh-huh.
be dramatic, like it's dusk sort of situation.
Dude, this slaps.
So I had so much
Oh.
fun. I had never done shadows like this, but I saw like a bunch of pictures where people had done it like that, and I'm like, all right, fuck it, I'm going to do that for this drawing.
Yeah.
And I thought it also worked well with the movement of the piece, like where I
Mhm.
have the wind blowing like the sun on the opposite side. I really liked that flow and movement of the
Mhm.
piece. So yeah, you get to see me. Essentially, what I did is I lay down a full multiply layer, and then I just go back with the
The eraser.
eraser and carve out all these little spots where the sun would hit. It makes for
Yeah.
that really dramatic sort of lighting. And then
Yeah.
over that multiply layer, I do another one in the same color and darken up all the places that are farthest from the light source to give it even more dramatic feeling.
Mhm.
And then over that, I have a soft light layer to kind of give that dappled lighting that you'd get from like the sun.
Uh-huh.
And I just did that yellow over everything.
Oh, that blood is so good.
Thank you. I pride myself on being able to draw blood very well. And then I work on the eyes a bit, and I gave those scales sort of an iridescent sheen because I wanted it to
I
stand
like
out,
that.
but like not too much. And then here you see me putting in the
Dude!
fire in a fire brush, as well as just like a little
I think
bit
I
of
might have that
setting.
brush.
Yeah.
It's good. It's a good one.
And then I just put in a little bit of like set design and ta-da!
Yo, this is awesome.
Thank you. I definitely had some struggles with this piece because I was drawing in a way that I hadn't before.
But it came out so well.
I am honestly so proud of this. This is the most like action. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the movement of this piece just feels so good, and I love sort of the vibe. I just I'm very proud of this piece. I hope you like it. This is my gift to you.
I love it a lot.
I had a lot of fun with this. I know that we both struggled. Maybe you more than me.
A little bit, but in a good way.
Yeah, I love that you could tell our styles as well, just from our old art to drawing each other's now.
Yeah.
Like, while the quality has definitely improved, the feeling is still the same. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah, it's like I can see how your drawing turned into the like how that was your roots, you know?
yeah. But yeah, this has been our OC redraw.
Yes. This is a lot of fun. I like doing these with you a lot.
I also like doing these with you. Thank you guys for watching. This has been another speed draw with Slalom Beans, the Bean Lottle
Yes.
brand, the Bean Lottle brand. We live in a can in a hole in the bottom of the sea.
Our tag team handshake draw a lot.
Tag smacking our hands together furiously.
That'll be good enough. I can turn something into that. I'm stopped.
Like and subscribe.
Yes.
What else do YouTubers say?
Smack that keyboard and do the likes and the no.
Click the like button and download the app store alarm YouTube. Goodbye.
Goodbye.